Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. With that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time. All right, thank you all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
What's happening? It's your boy King Tae, aka King Tae in this bitch.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Doing all right, man. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do, give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Yeah, I am a hip hop artist. I write a lot of music. I'm from Portland, Oregon, born and raised. So been dabbling in the Portland scene for a few years now.
Hell yeah. And what got you into music initially?
Initially, I'll have to say my family, because my mom, she played a lot of music in the house. So growing up, she had all the R&B, latest hip hop. Same with my uncle. So when he would come into town, he would have a lot of mixed burnt CDs with different playlists on them, and so their love for music made me enjoy music as well.
Gotcha. Hell yeah. No, I had a super musical uncle as well, so I totally get that. Did you have anybody in your immediate family that played any instruments or did music, or was it just big listening appreciation?
So the thing is, I don't personally know for sure, but my mom would sing around the house, my uncle would sing around the house. So music in that way, yes, I know they're musical. But I don't know anyone that took it
gotcha.
super far.
Okay, so you're the first
personally
musical artist, generationally at least.
Nah, I got cousins that undertoned it too.
Okay.
So later on, but growing up, I didn't know anyone in the family that really did music like that. Yeah.
Okay. And what made you lean more into the hip hop scene?
Honestly, that's a crazy question because I liked R&B more growing up. So with the hip hop, I would say listening to, are you talking about Portland scene or just hip hop in general?
Just hip hop in general.
I would say I was listening to a lot of Twista. Growing up, I listened to Ludacris. So their energy kind of captivated me, and Twista's his speed, the rapid fire. So that intrigued me a lot. So I always wanted to emulate it in a sense where I was listening to his album front to back and try to try to recite his words as fast as he's doing it and make sure I say every word right.
Gotcha. No, I feel that. I tried to do that with a handful of Tech Nine songs.
Yeah.
I can still do This Ring from memory, but I'm not going to do it here. Ask me off camera.
Okay.
But actually that segues well. I have a couple of questions that I like to check in with everybody on before we officially get into it. And this first one, it's one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
That's a hard question to answer because I'm thinking back. I don't think I've actually purchased my own album. It's way later in life. So
well, which one was that?
Shad See Your Highness.
Okay.
It was I don't want to butcher the name, but it was his third installment of a series he has, and he was selling it online. It was in 2020, and I remember I was like, I like his music, I'm gonna buy it. And I think that was, if I remember correctly, that was the first time I bought an actual physical album.
Oh yeah. And then what was one of the first live shows you ever went to that was like specifically one you wanted to go to?
Okay. Specifically that I wanted to go to, I'll say the Ty Dolla $ign concert that happened back in 2018.
Okay.
Or 17, one of those.
Yeah.
And then the first live concert that I actually went to was an Egyptian concert.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Man, you've definitely had some really cool music experiences.
Yeah, it was different. I was too young to actually go in, but they had us tapered off in like this random section where we was because we was all too young. So they let us still watch, but we couldn't mingle with the people.
Yeah. I get that for sure. But hey, still a really cool opportunity.
It was dope. I was kind of, I ain't gonna say new to reggae or like what they, I don't know fully what he calls his genre. But
there's too many names for all the genres these days.
Right. Yeah. But I wasn't well versed in it, but I knew a song or two, but just watching the concert was dope. I was like, oh yeah, I can get with this.
Oh yeah. And then before we officially get into you in the present day, do you have a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
More seriously, I'll say after high school, so probably like 2018, I dropped my first EP on SoundCloud, just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And my homie that was on that project, he passed. So like he was a part of our the whole music journey. So like after he passed, the group that I'm a part of, like we started pushing music way harder and like keeping it going because we had plans. Yeah. And so we ain't gonna stop our plans, just keep it going, and you know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah. No, I dig that for sure. And also it's cool that like, I mean, who is it? Machado Majiga, shout out Machado, said that like one of the biggest things you can do for your music is to just put it out. It's crazy how many people I've met that they're like, yeah, I'm still working on my first thing. And I'm like, you've been working on this for like 10 years. You're just gonna like, getting music out there is just such like an integral part of the beginning of the process. Because once you've done it, that's the hardest part.
Honestly.
Yeah. And then all you have to do is keep doing it.
And that's where I'm at. Like I did it. I put something out, but I've been holed up on myself for the second.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and get on into you in the present day.
Okay.
We are going to get a super easy one out of the way. How'd you pick the name?
King Tae. My real name is Javante. So just put King in front of it because I always felt like I wanted to be the king. So I just wanted to move in royalty and move how we're supposed to be moved and seen ourselves as kings and queens. So I just attached it to my real name but shortened it. So King Tae.
Hell yeah! No, I dig that. And then let's talk about your writing process a little bit. And we're going to break it up into chunks, but we're going to start right at the beginning. When you get inspired, you're ready to make music. What are some of the things you do to get a track started?
All right. So when I'm getting a track started, I'll have a beat playing. I'll just listen to it. I'll be like, okay. So I've realized too, I've tried to listen to, I try to choose random crazy beats that most people wouldn't even like choose to rap to. So that's already different. And then I'll be like, okay, now how could I go crazy on this different beat? Okay. And then lately in my process, I've been just letting like kind of freestyling, like just letting it it's like a free write, just the first thing that pops in my head, write it. Boom, 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 and just let it flow. So I'm not overthinking anything. And that's one of my biggest problems is overthinking. So like I've been just letting it free, like a free write, just letting it go and then see where I end up at the end of it. And if I like it, I'll refine it. And so that's kind of been my writing process lately.
Okay. So you still like maybe not pen to paper, but you still write the words out in some way.
Sometimes, well, I ain't gonna lie, I use my phone.
That's just the modern way of writing it.
That's the modern way of writing it, yeah.
But you don't you're not just freestyling off the top all the time?
I mean, nah, not really into the mic often because I know there's people that do takes and it comes out beautifully. I feel like I like to be more meticulous. So I want to make sure if I'm trying to convey something, the details are to a certain degree.
No, totally. And there's no wrong way to do it. I know people that are just as nasty as at the pen or with the pen as they are just freestyling. So it's like as long as you get the end result is one that you want. I don't think that, like I said, there's not a wrong way to do it.
Right.
And then once you get a track finished, like it doesn't have to be like recorded and put out per se, but once you've gotten all the words there and you're ready to kind of go over it, how long does it usually take you to get comfortable to the point where you can perform it?
It depends. So if it's like a song that I wrote that's like a little bit more simple, like I could probably get it. If I just wrote it and then you're saying perform it probably within that week.
Okay.
Probably if it's very simple, because when I'm writing, I'm going over it 100 times already just to make sure the flow's right. But to say that I mastered the song, it'll probably take a couple weeks.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But that's with the recording already, so I can practice every cadence and make sure everything sounds right. And learning my breath control has been a big factor. Like
it's such a big part of it for sure.
Been working on that because
no, it's and it's cool because that's one of those things that you can tell once somebody's been doing it for like long enough, because that's such a learned thing. Like when you first write your first raps, like you never think about, oh, I need to make sure I can breathe at any point in this.
Man,
and yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, sorry to cut you off, but it was a performance, man. It was 2019, and I was like, oh yeah, I did these songs, whatever. I recorded them, so I should be able to perform it. Getting on stage with your body language moving around, I was out of breath before I even got to the fastest part of my verse, and how am I going to perform it now?
Yeah, exactly. So like I said, it's one of the things you can't even know until you have learned that you need to know it. But you can always tell like where in somebody's musical journey they figure that out based upon like certain changes that happen in their like later work.
Right.
And it's always kind of a fun point to see.
Yeah, man. Just still working on it to this day too.
Yeah. Hey, same. But now let's go ahead and let's talk about some of your music. So I went and checked out the stuff you got on SoundCloud. It goes back to 2019. And I went to your most recent album, Lyrical Exercise. And it's a really cool album. I think something that really stands out to me is as you said, there are a lot of different sounds on it. And you really, you kind of approached it with a really broad range as well. It's not like, here's a beat, just doing the same style over it. Here's a different beat. Same style. Like you adapted to each track differently. And now I did see that each of the tracks were tagged with like a different year on them.
Yeah.
So was this more of like a clearing the vault project?
Yes, because I have a lot of just unreleased music. Yeah. And I came up with Lyrical Exercise as a mixtape. Like, bro, this is my exercise then at this point. If I'm never going to put these on streaming platforms and I can't figure out how I'm going, well, there's a way to do it. But if I don't figure it out in a certain amount of time, I'm like, I'm just been sitting on these. Let me just put them out, and because they're good songs, and I feel like what I came up with was quality. So I feel like other people should get a chance to hear it.
No, very much so. And like I said, it is a really cool album. I do this bit where I always pick out a track that I enjoyed, and I went with Most High. I mean, first off, I've said this on so many episodes, so this isn't news to the regular audience. I love anthem horns. Like that like something about that.
That's what drew me to. That's honestly what drew me to the song, because I heard just the hook, the actual song one day. I was like, hey, I could do something to that. Like those horns definitely got to me.
And then, I mean, just on top of that, I mean, the beat was hype, and you were so locked in. And like I said, I could tell that it was just based off of like the tags and like the delivery. It did feel like it was a vault clearing one, but you know who else did that? Was T-Pain. And his Everything Must Go 1 and 2.
Fire.
Amazing.
Fire.
Amazing.
I am a big T-Pain fan as well, so.
Same. Like, we won't get into it on this episode, but we could definitely talk about it after.
Okay,
like
for sure.
His Oblivion album might be one of my favorite albums of all time.
And see, that's a slept on album for me.
Well, nobody realized it. Nobody realized that it came out because he just kind of released it in 2017. He just like, it was just there.
And that's kind of the same for Revolver. Or I think, was it Revolver or Revolve? I think it was. It was right after. It was like right after he did Three Rings. Album after that, and that was also like, for me, I had to find gems on it later in life to really appreciate it.
Well, I think he got kind of stiffed with like the production for some of his like first like real albums were just so bizarre. But nobody realized even that a lot of the stuff on the radio was him being featured on other songs.
Bro, he ran the world for 2007. Him and Lil Wayne with the features, and bro, they ran the world.
Yeah. And then nobody even realized that he wasn't doing the auto-tune because he needed it. He was doing it because he was already good, and it was just extra.
Well, yeah, and see, that's a person that I watched a lot of interviews on, and he said at first, he needed a little couple vocal classes, but after that, he didn't need the auto-tune.
He grew up in the choir. He has always kind of had it there. And then he found the auto-tune, figured out what to do with it with layers, and then everybody was like, oh, he's just using the auto-tune. No, he is.
Listen closely. Yeah. His first album, if you go through it, you'll hear what I'm Sprung was kind of auto-tuney, but if you go through the album, he has songs with no auto-tune.
Tons of it.
What was my song? Going Through a Lot. Going through a lot, sitting on the block now through a lot. There was no auto-tune in that.
No. Well, even he showed up in a lot of random things without it later, and nobody there was it was on Adult Swim. It was called Freaknik, and it was like a made for TV musical. And he voiced the ghost of it, but he also did the opening track, and the opening track was it was so hard. It was just so tough. And I don't think anybody even realized it was T-Pain, because he just went in on it.
He's definitely one of those creative types. He's crazy.
Yeah, very much so. But this isn't his debut. Right. This is yours. And let's get back to it. And now, having talked about your tracks for a minute, I am curious to know, what are some of your favorite tracks?
Off of that, or
just
in general?
Just in general.
Honestly, some of my favorite tracks, sad to say, are my features. Yeah,
but that's okay. You can still plug those. Which ones are they?
So right now, I was able to be a part of Trey for Deuce and Silas's Exodus for Babylon 2. So,
phenomenal album.
So Suit Up, it's one of my favorite verses.
I think that might have been one of the ones I picked. Yeah,
I was first verse on that. So
hell yeah. He didn't give me the feature list, so I don't know who's on any of the songs.
Yeah, so I was a part of that. It was me, Silas, and Trey. And yeah, I was first verse on that. And then Holy Smoke. That was one of my favorite verses. But if I'm gonna plug my own music, I'll say off of my first album, probably my intro, because it was I was really trying to give them an intro of how I felt. So probably my intro, and then Take Over, because it was slight anthem. And if I'm gonna go mixtape wise, my what song is that? The Uchiwali Freestyle.
I almost went with that one too. Yeah, that's definitely a solid track.
I think that.
Now let's go ahead and let's talk about some new music you're working on. What can we look forward to with new stuff? Is it stylistically, is it different? Are you changing up your approach? What can we expect for the stuff coming out next?
So stylistically, definitely I'm going to try to switch it up a little bit. Not everything's going to be rapid fire. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try to slow it down. I'm going to get more introspective, but also try to apply more aggression. I feel like that's what Lyrical Exercise was able to bring out, was my aggression that I've been holding back on my albums or some of my features. So I think adding that with still keeping the introspectiveness and giving them a deeper dive into my psyche and the things that I've gone through, I think giving them full stories instead of broad spectrum. I think that's what I'm trying to accomplish with that.
Hell yeah.
And I think it would get conveyed very well if I do it the right way.
Gotcha. Well, definitely looking forward to that. Yeah. And I meant to ask you this in the earlier question, but when it comes to your beat selection and stuff, do you go online? Do you have people who get them for you? Do you have a hand in making them yourself? How do you go about that?
So I have a lot of YouTube beats. I have bunch of playlists of different YouTube beats. Also, I do have a couple of friends that produce themselves, so they might send me a beat here and there or whatnot, or might hit BeatStars, one of the. It's just honestly what's accessible at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm always just curious how people go about it, because there's just so many different avenues now. When I was a kid, you really had to struggle for them. So
yeah,
it's cool how accessible it is now.
Too accessible.
But now let's go ahead and let's take a step back. Let's look at kind of music as a whole. What are some of the things about either new music, so new music coming out now, or if you're not one of those people who dives into new, at least music that's new to you that you find inspiration from and you enjoy?
Honestly, I take a lot of their I enjoy their creativity because there's only so many ways you could say the same thing over and over again. So some of the new people that come with the same style or talk about the same things, some of them have a unique perspective on it, and so their word choice and the way they put it together and how they make their bars honestly captivate me. In the sounds, like sonically with their beat choice and things like that. I'd be like, bro, I wouldn't even have thought of using this beat, but the way he did it makes me want to try it now. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's one reason. And yeah, honestly, that's pretty much like.
No, I think that covers it really well. And actually, that's a point I haven't really heard anybody touch on, is like the sonic quality of like beats chosen.
Yeah.
Because we are lucky to kind of be in a time where like you can get quality sounding beats. Like back in the day, if you wanted a good sounding beat, you had to go somewhere and like have somebody like sculpt it for you in real time. Whereas like now there is just stuff out there that you can just find and you're like, oh, this is just good. Man. This just starts off good.
Exactly. And then like if you have somebody who can make a beat for you, or if you just listen to the type of beats that they have, I mean, honestly, I try to choose sometimes the craziest ones because I want it to be different. Like you're going to hear and be like, oh, who's going to hop on this? And then you hear my voice and be like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. Like, that's what I'm going for.
Hell yeah. No, I dig that. Now, before we get into the next portion, this next question is probably the densest one in the interview. But we've talked a lot about, you know, your music experiences, the actions, the reactions. But when it's just you and music one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
Clarity is one thing I can say. Getting it out in the open, and then listening to it over to see what I went through. And if I got really in detail why I went through it. And I can see how that whole process got me to where I am now. So a lot of clarity happened through my own music.
Gotcha. It's like, when you say clarity, do you mean like clarity of yourself, clarity of your experiences?
Yeah, clarity of myself, experiences. Sometimes the people around me, if they're featured on them, getting clarity in their situations, in their life, and the things that they were going through that they don't actually speak about to me. They just put it in the music. So you get a lot of clarity on a person and their character sometimes if they're being authentic fully in their music.
Gotcha. Oh yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's a great answer. All right, but now let's go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions.
Okay.
And for these, sky's the limit. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well.
Okay.
This first one is pretty straightforward. If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive. Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
I have two, but I don't want to give you two.
You do two. That's
okay.
Fine. But one of them better be T-Pain.
No, I was gonna say no. I was gonna say it's between T-Pain and Twista because I want to learn like breathing control better from a person who literally takes it to that limit. Yeah. So it's like learning where his little certain breaks are and finding them within myself and just his creative process as well. Because now, not to make it a twisted, thing, but he converted from what he was talking about. Now he is in the gun realm, so he makes raps about weaponry and his whole business now. So like learning his transition, how to switch your niche and switching through different things that you do. And T-Pain because with auto-tune, like I said, I'm still big into like singing and R&B, but my voice is kind of like shot nowadays. So like I rely a little bit on the auto-tune when I do try to mingle in it. And so learning how to learning his process as well and seeing how he navigates the studio, seeing how he navigates everything within that.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, honestly, I would love a track with both of them. Have they ever been on a track together? I don't like.
Yes, they do. It was called Creep Fast.
Okay.
I believe it's called Creep Fast, yeah.
Damn. Well, I will have to look into that one because I wasn't even aware of it. So thank you.
Great song.
Oh, yeah. And then subsequently, who are some local artists that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
It's not necessarily connected, but actually like got to go in the studio with. I'll say like Julian.
Okay.
I want to get in the studio with Julian. Rain Ezra. She has a beautiful voice. I'd want to get in the studio with her.
Shout out Rain.
Yeah, definitely shout out Rain. I've mingled with people but never really got into studios with them, or I've seen them like do their things. So just probably working with them on our own thing.
Everybody, you know what to do. At them in the comments. Let's see if we can make that happen.
Yes, sir.
And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limit, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power, it was guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show, and it doesn't have to be a venue. It could be anywhere. Where would you want to perform?
Honestly, this is more accessible. Honestly, want to go back to my old neighborhood and perform there.
Okay.
I used to live because I feel like it's an open enough area. It would be kind of more compact, but I'd want to do that just for nostalgia for me.
Yeah. Hey, no, I mean, you could pick anywhere. So that's a great spot to do it. And I think it's one of those things where it's like, especially if you still know a bunch of people there, for them being able to see you doing your thing, that's really an accomplishing moment.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday. Who would you want an album from?
An album from. Honestly, I kind of want to hear. I hope nobody said this answer already, but I kind of want to hear like another Aquemini type of album.
Okay. Yeah. No, definitely never had that answer before.
Yeah, I want to hear another Aquemini type of album. Like and obviously I'm Outkast, but just Aquemini themselves, that album was like very hit me. So definitely I want to hear another Outkast type of album like that.
Hell yeah. All right. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. What can we look forward to between, let's say, now and February?
Oh, man. Well, first off, just because you said that, February 1st is my birthday. So hopefully
early birthday.
Appreciate it. Hopefully by then I have my second project out, fully ready to go. I'm definitely probably going to have another volume 2 of Lyrical Exercise. And I'm working on a split EP with someone. Stay tuned on that for sure. And then I'm also a part of this collective on a project right now that's, we're trying to meet the deadline of Halloween. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, definitely looking forward to all that.
Yes, sir.
For this next one, go and look straight at the camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
Yes, sir. You can find me at Instagram at King Tae _ in this bitch. You can find me on Facebook at Javante King Tae Robertson, and on YouTube King Tae in this bitch fully, and same with SoundCloud and all the other streaming platforms, King Tae in this bitch.
Oh yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Man, shout out Rosie for sure, K Wayne, Trey Fordu, Silas, everyone that was a part of the Exodus for Babylon. Shout out all of them. Shout out Jamie Fortune as well. Shout out my homie Boogie Ave, GSLB. That's one of our the cliques that I was a part of growing up, and we make music as well. We got a little bit of stuff out, so there's more to come with that as well. So stay tuned on that. But yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. With that being said, we've got one last question to go.
Yes, sir.
So before we do, I'm gonna steal the camera for just a second.
All right.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation. But in all of music, what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? It's a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
Honestly, just because I've been listening to it, and I guess it's a little biased, that Exodus from Babylon too.
You know what? If y'all haven't listened to it yet, you definitely need to. So yeah, we'll let that is a great answer.
Yeah, y'all go purchase that EFBII.com for sure.
Hell yeah. I know that's a great rec.
Yes, sir.
All right. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and get up on out of here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me.
Hell yeah. And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
King Tae, aka King Tae in this bitch.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.